Good morning, everybody, and happy November 12th. It is already almost the end of the year, and it is interesting to see how quickly Christmas is coming around the corner. Because if we just count the Mondays, we have one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 Mondays before Christmas. Am I a Christmas fan? Absolutely, I am. And we have no snow on the ground. Last year, if you remember at this time, we also had very little snow before Christmas. And this is the time of year where I can actually tolerate snow because it goes towards at that anticipation of waiting for Christmas. However, afterwards, it just gets a little stressful because it's cold. And it does affect the real estate market, and the real estate market continues to be busy. Now, last week when I shared with you what was going on, some anecdotal information because of the listing I had up and how many showings we had, the market is still busy. The market's still moving along, and for November, it is very unseasonably busy for this time of year. Is it the same as spring? I would not say so. But it definitely is busier than normal, and you have to be on top of things. Now, there are deals still falling apart due to financing and inspection. So, those are all interesting things to take note of when you are looking to purchase a home, and you've got to be really quick to move when something comes available. Now, we're taking a look at the current active listings right now, and you can see they have now dropped under 2,000 listings. This is so low. It being November, we probably have at least 2 more months of decline before it will start to pick up, which is a little frightening because that makes listings even less. These are single family home listings, not condominiumized listings in the Edmonton area specifically. And then if you look at the surrounding areas, now we've talked about this before, surrounding areas still pretty much stay very similar. There's not a huge inventory or influx or deflux, or is that even a word? And so you'll see those numbers be quite similar. You can see from week over week, you only saw one difference in St. Albert. Sherwood Park is nothing massive in Spruce Grove. So nothing crazy with when it comes to that, but something to note for Edmonton is that it is now under 2,000 listings at 1985. So what that means is we are not getting as many listings coming on the market as the purchasing people buying them are. And so let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at how many listings went pending this last week in for single family homes. We had more sales than we did last week. So like I said, it's busy. So you had 192 go under contract. That doesn't count the ones that went straight into unconditional. And then you also have not the new listings coming to kind of offset that. So if we had 500 new listings and 192 sales, there's at least 300 extra that it would have bumped up the overall listing inventory, right? Because it would have gone from 2,000 to 2,300, but instead it went downwards. So that means that we've had more sales than there have been active listings come up. You also have the combination of listings coming off the market because they were like, it's November, I don't want to sell it. It didn't work. They could have terminated the listing. They could wait till next year. There's always that kind of thing in the back of their mind as well too. Don't forget terminations expired. Take it into account taking the inventory off the market, not just sold. Now, if we take a look at the sold in the last 7 days compared to the week before, where conditions were moved, we had a little less, 134 over the 200. Now, next week, we can kind of see what's going on there because we did have a spike in the pending sales this week. And so that's going to take into effect also. Now, if we take a look at last year, and if you were watching live, we are going to look into some different neighborhoods today. I've got Rosenthal prompted and pushed up. If you have any southwest or west neighborhoods, please comment and I'll make sure to take a look. So if you take a look at last year, we had less sales this year than last year, but that you saw the number we had for this year. So next week, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I will be recording the month of October, what happened in Edmonton's real estate market. So we can take a look at the month altogether because week over week, you can see a small scope, but once you go over an entire month, you'll see. So we'll take a look at the month of October, and then you'll be able to see that. And then we will be recording the month of November in a couple weeks. and then we will have that whole year wrapped up. So if you take a look at the stats right now, being November, there's not going to be a massive change month to month, and we're having an overall recap of what's happening. And you can see the Edmonton real estate market has definitely increased by quite a lot. There's not a whole lot of market left this year to adjust it where the increase in price will have gone down. So I'm going to show you Rosenthal what happened this year, but I'm also going to show you what was the average price last year to see, hey, if you were looking last year and you're looking this year, what is the difference in price? So if you take a look at the Rosenthal stats, these are the ones that are actively for sale. So you can look at between 396 to 998. I'm going to pull up the solds just for this year. Well, let's do this year, not last. Oops. So this year we've had 126 sales in Rosenthal. The average sale was $527,000. Highest price in Rosenthal this year has been $770,000. That's what has sold. Now, if we take a look at last year compared to this year, we had a little less sales, 111 sales versus 126, and the average price was 481 and the highest price was 868. So that just means what property sold the most. But you can see the average price that sold in the last year versus this year is quite significant. 481, and I can't remember, so I have to go back. It was like 527. So we went up about $40,000, which is almost 10%, I believe. Let's see, 527 minus 481, $46,000. That is just under 10% increase from last year, which is exactly what they predicted in the early months of the year. And I figured, no way, it's not going to go up that much, maybe like 6 to 8%. And it definitely in this neighborhood went up. Now let's take a look and see, what about the older areas? Let's say Aldergrove. This is an older neighborhood built in the 70s. So there was 47 sales this year, and we had 444,000 as the average price. And last year, 24. Sorry, let's see. I have short-term memory. Yeah, so this year, way more sales, like double the sales from last year. And 388 was the average. Oopsies. This is quite a bit higher. 454 minus 388. $66,000, which is definitely, if you're doing the math, that's way more than 10%. So it depends on the area. I mean, that's like 20%, because 10% is 38,000. It's not quite 10% because that's 76,000 would be 10%. Or sorry, 20%. So we're sitting like at 15%, which is really, really high in terms of what has gone up. If you've been watching the market and you're wondering why you can't find that house and that price point anymore, that's probably why. Let's take a look at Terwillegar Towne. This year we had 68 sales and 618 was the average price this year. Highest price $2 million. And let's take a look at last year. 84 sales and 549 and 1.6 million. Let's see. 618 minus 549. $69,000 increase on average, which is definitely more than a 10% increase, because that's 54,000 is a 6%, oh sorry, a 10% increase. So again, you're seeing different areas go up higher. Now, this does not mean that if you buy a house here today, next year at this time, you're going to have 10% more. This is what happened when we look back. Could we have seen and foreseen this last year? I don't ever think that any realtor in Edmonton who's worked this market will have said, "Oh, for sure, we're gonna see the 10%." That's a complete guess. Nobody has a crystal ball, and it's interesting to see how much properties have gone up in price. Then you say, "Hey, Melody, well, then why is my house not worth 10% more than what I thought?" Now, that's something you have to understand. Did you get a property valuation done by a professional realtor at this time last year? And are you getting another one done again this time this year? If you're just looking at actives and you're saying, well, I saw that house was still for sale for $550,000. Why is my house not now worth 600? That 550 active sale, if it never sold, could have sold for less and it could have also been priced incorrectly. So, though I'm showing you this increase, make sure you understand the context of your home and your value. Property tax evaluations are not what we would base it off of. If your property tax said that your house was worth $650,000, your house is not automatically now worth 700 something just because they use formulas, they do not use souls, they do not understand what renovations you've done. They only are looking at the lot size and your permits because when was the last time a City of Edmonton person came into your home to do a property assessment value and saw the inside of your home? Probably never, because they don't ever come in. Maybe they drive by, but they definitely do not come inside of your home and have no idea what the inside of your house looks like. So if you're curious about the value of your home and you're thinking, hey, this is promising for what I want to do in the new year, I want to sell and I want to move. Okay, that's one half of the equation. The other half is where are you moving to? If you're moving within Edmonton and you're moving into an area that you've been watching, let's make sure that you understand how much that home is that you're moving into. Because guess what? That price has also gone up and you were buying and selling in the same market. Is it worth it to sell your home now and rent for 6 months to a year, waiting for the market to fall down and crash? I think you might know the answer to that question. When you leave and exit the equity market, you've lost that equity piece that you're growing with the market. You've sold it. Now you're sitting there waiting for the market to come down. And I don't know if you've noticed, but our market has not significantly come down for a very long time. So you end up renting, you end up spending money in rental, and then you start to deplete that profit that you've made and now you are trying to re-enter the market without that ability to sell your home where that market is at to then move up. So definitely I would highly recommend that you try to coordinate it where you are purchasing and selling within a same similar time period so that you're not losing out on the equity piece that you did own in the market. When it comes to buying and if you're upgrading or downsizing, that's going to make a big difference too, because that downsized house that you thought you could downsize to is going to be more money than you thought and may actually be more of a lateral move from what you're doing versus an actual downsize. So when you're talking about mortgage interest rates, talk to the mortgage broker to find out what your mortgage payments would be if you stayed in the house, because maybe it's better just to stay in the property. If you're looking to upgrade, that's usually where the opportunity is. And if you're looking to move out altogether and move out of Edmonton, move out not even to the suburbs, but like you're moving to another province, you want to make sure you talk to the agents on the other side. And we do have connections for you for out of province realtors. So whether you're moving here from Ontario, BC to Edmonton, we can connect you with agents that are amazing in your cities to make sure that you get the best on both sides to understand what's going on. Now, if you're doing new build, versus resale, that's also going to affect the market too. New builds don't have the stats that you can see online, but I do know because we've sold lots of new builds, the market continues to climb in price. Their costs are higher, which I do this because I know they're higher, but I don't think they're that much higher. But they're never going to come back down to what they used to be. The glory years of when it was really affordable to buy new, when it was more affordable to buy new than it was to buy resale, has come and gone and will not come again unless we have some crazy recession, which I don't foresee happening. Sure, we might have the ups and downs of the regular market, but I don't necessarily see us like dropping to what we did. There was a lot of different things aligning to that point. So, that is my update for you today. If you have any questions and you're watching this after, make sure to comment and we'll talk to you more about that next week. Bye, guys.